Long ago, there were two realms that divided the world. The Kingdom of Light, a floating paradise in the sky inhabited by winged beings, and the Kingdom of Darkness, an underground abyss filled with fearsome creatures and the enigmatic dark folk. Both realms despised and feared each other, with no communication between them. A village arms itself, preparing to withstand an impending attack. Amidst the chaos, a courageous young man takes charge of leading the children to a safe haven. The adults stay behind, facing a nearly invincible enemy. Just then, a giant centipede bursts from the ground. Though he tries to face it, he realizes the creature is too much for him. He chooses to flee with two siblings, but the younger one gets left behind, caught in the monster's jaws. With his dying breath, the child pleads, "Please, take care of my sister." He reaches the cave but feels shattered. He lacks the power to protect anyone, and his cries for help get lost amidst the rubble of his ruined village. The whole town had vanished, and where joy once thrived, now only ashes remain. Under the rain, the boy digs graves for the fallen. Although he feels weak and hungry, he doesn't stop digging. Suddenly, a knight approaches and asks, "What are you doing here? You'll die quickly if you keep this up without food." He hands him bread and water. He introduces himself as Skiers. The boy questions how the Demon King can rule if he's unleashed monsters everywhere. Skiers replies that the king has his own concerns and doesn't care about the chaos he's caused. Then, Skiers asks what he believes is the right thing to do. "To make everyone happy," he responds. Skiers hands him a sword and offers to train him to change the world without having to dig graves. He makes it clear that by getting stronger, he could alter destiny. Though he doesn't know how to fight and takes more hits than he gives, Skiers teaches him that complaining and cursing change nothing. To challenge the Dark King and change fate, he needs power. Skiers had already challenged the Dark King, but failed to defeat him. To do what's right and bring happiness, one needs strength, and for that, the boy has to become strong. What do you plan to do? Keep digging holes and waiting for a miracle to happen? It's time to wake up. Skiers reveals that he tried to challenge the Dark King for the throne, but failed. He is aging now. He gives the boy his sword and tells him to head to the capital. "I have a mansion there. Whoever holds this sword will be considered leader among the people." The boy must proclaim himself as the Prince of Darkness, the Dark King's successor. Skiers mentions that a knight named Valis will recognize him and be loyal to him once he sees the sword. "You remind me of myself when I was young. Grow strong and change this flawed world when you are king." Shortly after, he passes away, leaving the boy crying but determined. "I will be the successor you hope for." Then we see the princess of the Kingdom of Light fighting against the dark forces threatening her territory. She possesses wings and is accompanied by the Knights of Light. The protection of the rune is with them, and together they stand against the monsters of darkness. The Kingdom of Darkness is expanding, threatening the balance. The princess of the Kingdom of Light is not only beautiful, but also possesses dazzling wings that reflect the hope of her people. They love her deeply, eagerly awaiting her return from every battle. We are introduced to key figures in the Kingdom of Light. The leader of the knights and his soldiers form an unbeatable team on the battlefield. Not only the knights, but also the mages, led by the sorceress Shima, fight the dark forces. With the power of the rune, the princess could theoretically even defeat the King of Darkness, but using all her power would be too great a risk. She shares her concerns with her advisor. The Kingdom of Darkness grows increasingly aggressive. She urges her troops to prepare for war. The scene changes to the boy, who has arrived at the entrance to the village. A pale-skinned man stops him and asks where he got his sword. The boy in turn asks about Skiers' mansion. The man, who turns out to be Valis, draws his sword and accuses him of being a thief. In the duel that follows, Valis knocks the boy to the ground with a single blow, but the boy remembers Skiers' words. When he proclaims himself the Prince of Darkness, Valis changes his attitude. He pledges to recognize him as his lord and guides him to Skiers' mansion. In the Kingdom of Light, the princess receives news that the western capital is under attack. It is Baal, a fearsome and monstrous enemy who is causing devastation. Alarmed, the princess immediately orders all available troops to be mobilized and quickly heads towards the battlefield. The kingdom's knights stand ready as the mages prepare their most powerful spells. All are ready to support their princess. Baal appears. His enormous and terrifying figure makes them realize he is no ordinary opponent. The mages attack, but Baal doesn't even flinch. With a single swipe of his tail, he sweeps away entire ranks of soldiers and sends the mages flying through the air. The knights rained arrows down on Baal, but he laughed. None were a match for his monstrous strength. Just as Baal is about to crush the last of the soldiers, a powerful ray of fire impacts him. Alantia, the legendary elven leader, challenges him to an epic duel to buy time and get the wounded to safety. A fierce battle erupts, but neither mighty magic nor the spirit summoned by Alantia manage to even scratch the fearsome Baal. With centuries of combat experience, Alantia feels reduced to a mere insect before Baal's overwhelming power. He never imagined facing someone with such strength. In that instant, a group of dark soldiers burst onto the battlefield, claiming to be deserters who no longer wish to fight. Alantia knows he is doomed. What can he do against such a monstrosity? Suddenly, the princess appears, radiant and swift, with wings as dazzling as the dawn. The injured mages urge her to be careful before joining the fray. Alantia warns the princess about Baal's unimaginable power. She thanks him for keeping some safe, then charges into an attack. Baal is thrilled. A worthy rival has finally arrived. Meanwhile, the deserters reveal they want no more war, but the darkness consumes them as they transform into monsters. In the fight against Baal, the princess draws on the rune, pleading for its power to unleash a devastating spell. But Baal doesn't even flinch. Frustrated, the princess tries another attack, only for Baal to catch her sword with his bare hands and fling her through the air. Alantia warns her that overusing the rune's power could kill her. Accepting he has no equal, Baal withdraws. The princess is devastated by the destruction and loss. Help finally arrives, and the wounded are tended to. Meanwhile, in the Dark King's mansion, a servant questions the purpose of this endless war. He believes their people deserve more than constant conflict. However, the Dark King, his face remaining in shadow, eliminates him with a gesture of his sinister power. Valis confronts the Dark King, questioning the wisdom of losing so many troops. But the Dark King is unyielding. The people have only one purpose: to serve the darkness without question. His ultimate goal is for darkness to engulf everything. At the same time, he shows concern over Baal, the god of destruction and selfishness, and the problems he is causing. It is here we discover that Valis serves the Dark King and his potential successors, including our protagonist. Eager to grow stronger, he asks Valis to teach him the art of the sword. We see our hero immersed in rigorous training, helping the townspeople, and earning their affection and respect, all while honing his sword skills to become much stronger. Finally, Valis presents him with the clothes that once belonged to Skiers in his youth, saying Skiers would be proud to see him wearing them. In this episode, he performs a bold feat by saving Captain Groza, who is impressed by his bravery and determination. When she asks his name, he declares he is one who aspires to be the next Dark King. Groza feels a connection and proposes he enter a tournament between contenders for the throne. As a tournament organizer, she reveals the winner will be named Prince of Darkness and receive a powerful sword. The competition is fierce as candidates gather for the first of many trials, facing off against dark monsters resembling sinister lions. The rules are simple. They will undergo various challenges, and the finalists will duel to the death. They release the beasts, and while the others fight, the boy stands still. Confident, he faces one of the lions and defeats it with ease. One of the other competitors, Adele, observes the boy with interest. Despite his reserved demeanor and lack of boasting, Adele is intrigued to find out the true extent of his power. In one move, the protagonist annihilates the beast. The others also prove their worth by facing and defeating the creatures with little trouble, including a mage who uses her magic to finish off her opponent. This first trial seems like child's play for them. However, things take an unexpected turn when one of the beasts is immune to magic, putting the mage in peril. Everyone watches, but no one moves to help. Just as the beast is about to deliver the final blow, Our protagonist intervenes and slays it. The others wonder why he did that, especially in a world where betrayal and selfishness are the norm. The mage responds scornfully that she needs no pity from him. He replies that what good is strength if you cannot aid those in need, leaving everyone speechless. Then they release another beast, significantly stronger than the previous ones. Despite attacking with all their might, no one can land a damaging blow on the beast. Our protagonist, after seeing everyone fail in their attempts, leaps onto the creature and defeats it with a single stroke of his sword. The crowd is left in awe. The final trial will be a duel between the protagonist and Adele. The two begin fighting, the protagonist nimbly dodging each of Adele's attacks. Though they appear evenly matched at first, the protagonist quickly tires of the charade and defeats Adele effortlessly. The duel is to the death, but he chooses not to kill him. Adele asks why the boy didn't kill him, and the boy replies that he's committed to a life-defining ideal, to change the world and bring happiness to people. Adele cuts him off, telling him to spare his words, and lunges again, only to be easily parried and defeated, forcing him to surrender. The protagonist is anointed as the Prince of Darkness, receiving the mythical sword to a roar of applause from the gathered crowd. Groza, the captain and organizer of the tournament, is genuinely impressed with him, both for his skills and his pure heart. She's thrilled that he's the winner. Adele addresses him as Your Highness, acknowledging his new title, while Valus, watching from the hallways, already knows he's the one who's won. Next, Valus is tasked with delivering a letter from the Dark King to the Kingdom of Light, and they will be the emissaries. As the magical ship sails across the sky, soldiers raise their voices in sea shanties, filling the air with their joy. Approaching the borders of the Kingdom of Light, Groza walks up to the protagonist. "Be careful, we may be special envoys, but don't forget we're in enemy territory," she warns. He admits that he's not very good with words. Overhearing the conversation, Adele proposes an idea. "How about we switch roles? I'll be the prince, and you'll be the subordinate. If anything goes wrong, the repercussions will fall on me, not the future king." Once on land, they are greeted by the leader of the Knights of the Kingdom of Light, who doesn't lower his sword upon seeing them. In his role as the stand-in prince, Adel urges the knight to sheath his weapon, emphasizing that they are special envoys and thus deserving of protection, rather than hostility. After delivering the Dark King's letter, Adel raises another issue. He points out that while a knight's duty is to protect his queen, it's vital to question the reasoning behind the war they find themselves in. Adele stresses that they don't necessarily share the warlike desires of the Dark King, and that the populace is also unhappy with his impulsive rule. Eventually, they are led to the princess, who takes her time to read the letter carefully. While waiting, the protagonist and Adele get a chance to observe the Kingdom of Light. It's a place where joy is abundant, children run free, and people live without the yoke of a tyrannical ruler. This contrasts sharply with their own home, and they can't help but wonder what future awaits them. The princess makes her entrance, simply dazzling. A romantic melody seems to fill the air, as if their souls recognize each other from another lifetime. The princess takes her seat and informs them that, although she's read the letter, she won't give an immediate response. The tension between the kingdoms is palpable, and any wrong decision could lead to mutual destruction. They are then guided to their assigned rooms. Later, he finds himself staring out the window, watching the princess walk under the moonlight. The letter turns out to be a proposal for a temporary alliance, seeking to unite the two kingdoms against Baal. After contemplating it, the princess accepts the alliance, believing it's the best course for her people. She's aware that once the truce is over, hostility from the Dark Kingdom will likely resurface, but she knows that this temporary union could save many lives. Sometime later, the princess arrives to seal the alliance with the Dark King, in order to put an end to Baal. Meanwhile, the gang waits in the Kingdom of Light. Baal crashes into the Dark Kingdom, quickly realizing he's not walked into a welcome party. The plan is straightforward yet risky. Clip his wings the moment he lands and deliver the killing blow. Groza leads the crossbow troops. Sword in hand, Valus steps forward to strike the first blow against Baal. A showdown is inevitable, and Valus initiates it with his legendary fire sword. But Baal just laughs. His armor is like a fortress, impenetrable. Is that all you've got? The party is just getting started. The other dark beings try their luck, but fall like autumn leaves. Frustrated, the girl fires arrow after arrow, but Baal's armor repels them all. "Your antics are futile," he says, as he continues to tear through the dark beings as if they were mere toys. Just when it seems all is lost, the Dark Army combines their powers to create a magical prison. But Baal is too strong. He shatters the spell and breaks free. At that moment, another trap is activated, a magical net woven by the kingdom's wizards. Groza and Valus strike with a collaborative spell, Swords of the Abyss. Valus hurls his flaming sword, and everything erupts in an apocalyptic blast. It's almost like they've won. But Baal laughs again, breaks the net, and declares, "Game's over. Time to die." Just when all hope seems lost, the Dark Lord appears to save the day, teleporting everyone to safety. He confronts Baal, whom he criticizes as a selfishness incarnate. Wasting no time, he attacks with a dense dark fog that engulfs the battlefield. Baal laughs and fires a devastating beam that pierces through the darkness. It doesn't stop there. Baal continues to resist all of the Dark Lord's attempts to contain him. Soaring above the dark layer of fog, Baal seems unstoppable. Gearing up to deliver the final blow to the Dark Lord, Baal gathers massive energy in his hands. But just as he's about to release it, magical chains burst forth, trapping him. He struggles to break free, but the chains tighten even more. The Queen of Light has arrived just in time. Sensing Baal starting to break free, the Queen calls upon the power of the White Kingdom's mages and the Dark King's stone. Both leaders channel their energy into a combined attack. Meanwhile, the princess holds Baal in place with the magical chains. Finally, the Dark Lord uses all his strength to hurl Baal into the depths of Tartarus, sealing him there for all eternity. The princess is exhausted and decides to fly back to her kingdom. Watching her arrive from the window, the protagonist realizes her condition and rushes out to catch her before she hits the ground. Once he has her in his arms, they lock eyes and he asks if she's all right. She replies that she is, having successfully fulfilled the agreement between both kingdoms. At that moment, the rest of the team arrives, concerned about the princess's state. They recognize she's used up too much of her magical power, so they decide to take her back to the palace to recover. In the meantime, they ask the protagonist and Adele to return to their respective rooms. Back in the palace, the mage does her best to heal the princess. Unfortunately, she concludes that the princess has become a conduit for the immense power of the rune. Fios, who is also present, shows deep concern for her.